Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Solo Steve.
All right.
Like I said, my name is Solo Steve. I'm the host, and joining me is my awesome co-host, as always, Delicious Dwaylen Davis.
Hey, everybody.
And we don't know what just happened there. Dwaylen's feet all of a sudden went all max headroom on us.
Yeah, just
Yeah, that was really odd. But
yeah,
hopefully, if it happens during the middle of it, we'll just roll.
yeah. We'll just go with it. Yeah.
Yep. Um, But tonight we are going. The inspiration for tonight, I will say, just came across from some news that popped on us today. Late comedian Andy Kaufman is being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Like you responded when I texted it to you. Don't know what to really think about it. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, it's like on one hand, it's like, uh, you know, not really a huge fan of celebrities getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame. But at the same time, Andy Kaufman did, he
yeah,
did contribute to the business. His feud with Jerry Lawler was legendary.
yeah, he
And
contributed in a positive way.
in a positive way, it
Yeah,
brought a lot more eyes to the product. you know, and so in that regard, yeah, he deserves a place, but it's not so much him, it's so much as WWE still desperately trying to get that mainstream appeal.
right.
And so they're just throwing these celebrities out here just to get eyes on the product instead of just make a compelling product and you'll get eyes on your product.
Bam, exactly. And that's why we're to this episode today. We're going to be talking about wrestling in the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
Because Andy Kaufman back in what 81, 82,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he had the feud with Lawler. Lawler smacked the taste out of his mouth on the David Letterman show.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I felt that smack. It was, oh
yeah,
wow.
and Letterman didn't actually know it was a work, and so he thought
Yeah,
there,
yeah, he thought it was about to go down.
yeah. And Kaufman, he was a big wrestling fan,
Hmm.
and he uh but he also knew that he was not in Andy Kaufman, like weighed 100 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah,
He was not athletic. I mean, he had his comedy was very much an acquired taste. I mean, you either
yeah.
loved him or you didn't.
I wasn't a fan, but I do know people that enjoyed it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely an acquired taste. I'd agree with that.
Yep. And I will say the movie Man in the Moon I thought was pretty good. The kind of biopic, or somebody
Uh,
say biopic.
a little sidebar. Jim Carrey committed so much to that role that he stayed in character the entire time they were shooting. Whenever he was on set, even if they were on a break, he was still Andy Kaufman.
And he got the taste smacked out of his mouth by Jerry
Hmm.
Lawler for real.
Yep, he sure did.
So, but yeah, that's good movie. And you do feel Andy Kaufman when he succumbed to cancer
Hmm.
and he was doing whatever he could. He even got fooled by these ones. And I remember when this stuff was going on where they said they could reach in and just pull the cancer out, and
Hmm.
that's why you could. Yeah, unfortunately, he got um, suckered by them and
Yeah.
passed away. And if I had to guess, I would say Lawler is going to be the one to induct him.
I mean, there's that he's the only one that could. I mean, it would not make sense for anybody else to induct him into the Hall of Fame. I mean, not only did it bring more eyes to the wrestling product as a whole, it brought more eyes to Jerry Lawler.
Yep.
I mean, Jerry Lawler was a legend in Memphis, but this brought Jerry Lawler mainstream attention,
And
which he may never have gotten without Andy Kaufman.
and in this book right here by Bill Apter, Jerry Lawler actually gave the forward, and he
Mm,
said those very exact things. He said if it hadn't been for Bill Apter introducing him to Andy Kaufman, because Andy
hmm.
Kaufman was the one who wanted to
Right.
involve, and Bill Apter, so um, he gives Andy Kaufman all the credit in the world for doing that. So
As he should, because that was, that was a big deal.
By the way, I'm a little over halfway through this book, and it is really good.
Cool.
By the way, is wrestling fixed? I didn't know it was broken by Bill After. And yeah, so by the way, also I'll say another. By the way, I told you that it was $25 that for
Hmm.
that entire
Yeah.
thing. This book was 1995
Oh wow.
at the newsstand. So that tells you, I mean, how good of a deal that he gave
Yeah,
myself and my son. So if we could ever get Bill After on the show,
that'd
even
be
though
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
even though I mean he said he's just too busy.
Yeah.
You know, he said Sportskeeda they have him just running around ragged. He said every day he said he can barely find time to do anything, but super nice guy. But he did cut the promo for us, and I was
Yes, he
like,
did.
man, Bill After just cut a promo for our
I
podcast.
know, right?
Even if he said the name wrong, I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
We're going to
Yeah.
change the name to just Armchair Podcast.
Yeah.
So Bill After said so. Look, I
Yeah.
mean,
Hey, you can't argue with that.
and I had totally forgotten when he had left um, the After mags. Really it's the Stanley
Hmm.
Weston mags that he went to work for a different magazine. I'd forgotten about that.
Oh, okay.
And then that magazine went under after 2 years.
Hmm.
And now I mean he's still obviously doing pretty good for himself.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So um, I will say there is some sad news, and I'm going to have to define this. I did not recognize the name. I don't know if you did or not. Um, there was a wrestler who passed away, and I guess he was more known as a referee. I have to find some of the people who have been tweeting and Facebook posting about him, and now I feel like an absolute crap because I should have just remembered his name. Let me go to somebody I know posted about him. At least I'm pretty sure she posted about him. Uh, oh, come on now. Oh, yeah, Sean O'Brien. Did you recognize the name?
I didn't. I saw those posts on social media, but I didn't recognize the name.
And even Ryla, she posted, I never got the privilege of knowing you, but from the things I've been reading about you these last 12 hours, you were nothing but the light that everybody needed in their life. You'll be dearly missed. RIP SPO. So I'm guessing his ring name was SPO or maybe or
Mm,
SPO. But yeah, I've seen so many people post about him, and it sounds like I mean he had a pretty big influence in quite a few
yeah,
wrestlers' lives. So um, yeah, so our condolences definitely to his family, and
absolutely.
from the sounds, I had never met him, and I didn't realize who it was, but yeah, it sounds like he'll definitely be missed. But for our contact and listening info, I'm going to actually shorten it up a little bit. I will say email us armchairbookingpodcast at gmail.com. Eventually, Leighton, you're not Leighton, you're Dwaylen. So uh, we're going to actually make a promo audio that we can just slap on,
Yeah.
kind of like the way I did the mixtape podcast.
Hmm.
And I will say to anybody else, any other podcasters on here, if you would like for us to actually play a promo audio, send it to us. I have
Yeah.
no issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
Just so send it to us, and we will play it on this one. I will also play it on the Cubicle Chat podcast because I did that for the mixtape.
Hmm.
Dwaylen doesn't have another podcast, but he does have the Big and Fat uh,
Yep.
YouTube and TikTok channels.
Yep.
So he has Big and Fat. I have Cubicle Chat. But for our show, you can find us on Facebook. Just look up Armchair Booking Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. At Twitter, it's at Booking Armchair. I do a lot of interaction on that one because um I do run that one mostly, and but I tagged Waylon in pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Fat underscore Daddy 73. And as far as audio channels go, I mean we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio. Where's some of the other big ones?
Google Podcasts,
Google Podcasts.
just about anywhere you can get a podcast, we are more than likely on there.
Yep. And if you give us on Apple Podcasts, if you give us a 5-star rating and a review, I will read it on the air. And on some of the other ones that you can give a rating, but not necessarily a review, just send me a screenshot with the rating and your review, and I'll also read those in the air. So,
Yep.
and don't sweat if you do a review or you do a rating and I'm not reading it yet. I may not see it yet because depending on where you're located, it may not show up for a while because we do know BC from Wrestling with the Truth. He gave us a review, a 5-star rating and a review. And I have seen it, but I saw it when I went to a British website. For some reason, it's not showing up on it. But he actually said he's had that issue before though when he gave somebody a rating and a review and it didn't show up for months,
That's
which is
crazy.
really odd. So, but I do know it's there. Just wait for it to show up here because I actually already read it. But
Hmm.
when it shows up, I'll let him know. Hey, BC, it's there. But that's BC and Jay from Wrestling with the Truth. I mean, two great guys. Felt like we'd known them for years.
Oh
A
yeah.
few times. Yeah. Yeah. So go check out their podcast. Go check out Ted the Hillbilly Heel Truth. He's no longer on Twitter, but go check out Ted the Hillbilly Heel. And let's see, the Dad Ward Order. That's another one. Wrestling World. There's another one. True Crime Cast. Bless their hearts. I will give a lot of shout outs to different podcasts as this show goes on. And the Mixtape Podcast, which, by the way, they just dropped an episode today called The Greatest Cartoon Theme Songs from Your Childhood.
Hmm.
That's got me
Gotta
intrigued.
check that out. Yeah.
Yep. So, but getting on to today's subject, wrestling in the mainstream. And because, like you pointed out earlier, that like they're trying to get all this mainstream attention, but it's not. They're trying
Well,
to get. It's not working the way they think it should work.
well, no, they got spoiled really because
Yeah.
the Attitude Era wrestling was as mainstream between with
Mhm.
the Attitude Era and the NWO and WCW. Wrestling was as mainstream as honestly I think it will ever be. I
It'd be
mean,
hard to top it. I mean, that's the
it
truth.
just all of it just permeated you know pop culture. It just it went beyond the sport of wrestling and it just became part of everyday life. I mean, it was nothing to see, you know, people wearing DX shirts or NWO shirts and just people that didn't know a whole lot about wrestling, but
Right.
they knew these groups were cool. And it's like, oh, well, I want one of those. I mean, and it's like you had athletes coming in, Ken Shamrock comes in from, the Ultimate Fighting world and becomes a good professional wrestler.
Yeah.
You have, it just brought in so much. And I think WWE is still chasing that high, so to speak. And it's like we were here and we were in the mainstream and we were a huge part of pop culture. And then the Attitude Era ended and it's just been sliding down as far as being that deep into pop culture. It's just sliding down. And I think they're just desperate to get that mainstream attention that they will try to attach themselves to whatever celebrity they can. I mean, come on, they had Snooki wrestling a match at
Mhm.
WrestleMania several years ago. It's like there's mainstream attention, and then there's just sad publicity.
Because Snooki, no offense to whatever Snooki's real name is, she was almost to the point she was famous for being famous.
Yeah, she was famous for doing nothing. She's
Yeah.
in that. I mean, she was on Jersey Shore, and I watched. I'm not gonna lie, I watched Jersey Shore because it was a train wreck,
Yeah.
and you just couldn't look away. I
A few
mean, it was
episodes I watched, I was like, yeah, a train
yeah,
wreck.
it's a train wreck, and it amused me because these people were so stupid. And but I mean, they really did nothing but acted like idiots on television in front of in front of the world, and got famous behind it.
Yeah. And their thing, I mean, they were kind of offensive on some things,
Yeah,
but they were so stupid. You're like, you know what? Not that it's okay, but we know they're stupid. So I'm kind of going to
yeah,
let this one slide because
yeah.
you know they're stupid.
And I got to see what other stupid thing they're going to do because I know they're
Yeah.
just. I mean, they just kept topping themselves with the ignorance. So it's like,
Yeah.
but it's like stop with the. I mean, there's nothing wrong with wanting mainstream attention, but there's a good way to get it, and then there's just grasping at straws, and I feel like that's what they're doing. No offense to Andy Kaufman, I just think they should ease back on the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame because while they're doing that, wrestlers that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame are still getting overlooked because they're so focused on every Hall of Fame class. It's like they're trying to slide in a few celebrities, and it's like, what about Ivan Koloff?
Mm-hmm.
Who? What about Demolition? I mean, we've discussed this on
Mm-hmm.
the show before. It's like,
Yeah, we discussed it last week.
yeah,
So,
two important. Those are two important inductions right there that have not happened yet and should have happened a long time ago.
how about Stan Stasiak?
Yeah, staying the man. I mean, he was champion for 6 days, but he was still WWE champion.
Yeah,
So you can never take that away from him.
and that was
So
back when even if he was only champion for 6 days, it still meant something to be champion.
yeah, it still meant something. And a 6 day reign was like, oh my God, that guy's, he carried the belt. He was the man for a little while.
You
And
know what? That belt right there is signed by a guy who only held it for 4 days, Tommy
hmm
Rich.
yep,
But nobody says, "Oh, Tommy Rich, oh, 4 day champ." That's
a
nothing.
4 day champ. They just
They
say
say
Tommy Rich,
former
world
world
heavyweight
champion.
champion. Yeah.
He beat Harley Race, and then Harley Race beat him back.
Yeah.
But
Now wrestling in the mainstream, if you think about it, most people associate WWE getting into the mainstream with the rock and wrestling connection,
yeah,
with you know, with
MTV
Piper,
back in the day.
MTV, and all that. But nobody's giving Jerry Lawler and Andy Kaufman credit because without them, that wouldn't have
Bingo.
happened because they opened the door to mainstream attention to pro wrestling. Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lawler are the reason why, uh, you know, Cindy Lauper and the MTV stuff, all the celebrities at at the first WrestleMania, any celebrity that's been at a WrestleMania since then, the mainstream attention of the Attitude Era, that was all Jerry Lawler and Andy Kaufman were the catalyst for that. But nobody ever mentions that. They never mention that that's where things really started. As you say, think like you said, it was 81, 82 when their feud was going on. First WrestleMania wasn't until 85.
Yep.
So, and WrestleMania, you had Muhammad Ali, Liberace. There's so many stars out, so many entertainment stars outside of wrestling involved in WrestleMania, and Cyndi Lauper and all that. The MTV connection, but need to
Um,
give the flowers to Jerry Lawler and Andy Kaufman for starting the whole thing.
and I'm looking for the list of celebrities just at the first WrestleMania.
Hmm.
Okay, the main event, Mr. T.
Yeah, Mr. T. Yeah,
With Hulk Hogan, who Hulk Hogan, for all his faults, he still turned into a celebrity
in his own right.
on its
Yeah,
own right.
yeah. And that's
Hey,
another thing. It's like, yeah, it's like, you know, you have wrestlers that become celebrities that kind of transcend wrestling. You have your Hogans and you have Austin, Rock, you have John Cena, just people that have, I think Roman Reigns will end up being on that list by the time his career starts winding down. I could see
oh,
him.
he's already started.
Yeah, he was in Hobbs and Shaw. Uh, but I think he's
Um,
going to be a major player in Hollywood later on once
he
his.
he had a small like cameo. Well, I can't really say cameo because he wasn't playing himself, but
Hmm.
I cannot think of the name of this movie. It was basically the guy he ended up. It was like a I don't want to say Tinder, but it was like an online dating thing,
Mm.
and he accidentally got the wrong girl, and they were in Hawaii together. But then after that, blah blah blah, they ended up falling in love, and even the girl was hilarious. But Roman Reigns was in that for about
Oh, okay.
maybe 2 minutes, and I'll have to find that movie. But some of the ones at the very first WrestleMania, um, Cyndi Lauper, Mr. T, Muhammad
Hmm.
Ali was the the ref.
Yep.
Liberace, which for
Hmm.
you young folks, Liberace, I couldn't tell you one song Liberace played, but I have seen video of him playing piano, and
He was a phenomenal piano player.
yeah,
I mean, just extremely
yeah,
talented. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
like you. I don't know a single song that he
I
did,
mean
but I
his,
just know.
I mean his music was it was a little different. I mean it just wasn't my taste. I
No,
mean
it's
that's
kind of
all it
like
was.
it was kind of along the lines of show tunes.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he was in Vegas. I mean he
yeah.
had
I
that
mean,
long standing act in
oh
Vegas.
yeah, he had a huge following. So,
Billy Martin, who
hmm
former he was he still with the Yankees at the time? Probably.
I think so. Yeah.
And the Rockettes.
Hmm.
And I mean, and these sound kind of tame compared to some of the ones they got later on, but
Yeah, but
still,
you gotta think 1985. I mean, we were 12 years old and seeing all these stars that we see on TV all the time at a pro wrestling show.
actually, the sad thing, when WrestleMania happened, we weren't even 12 yet. We were 11.
That's right. We were 11. That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
because it happened.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Um, oh, March 31st.
Hmm.
Today is the anniversary of WrestleMania 10.
Okay. Okay.
So why they can't get it back in March instead of the same weekend as the Final Four?
Here's the
Huh.
thing, because Vince McMahon thinks in his infinite wisdom that WrestleMania is going to trump March Madness. He thinks people are actually going to prefer to watch WrestleMania than they are to watch the NCAA tournament. Absolutely not. It's never going to happen. Everybody is going to tune in to college basketball. It's always been that way. It's always going to be that way.
I've been going through this list of celebrities. How did I miss Michael Che being in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal WrestleMania 35?
Well, like WrestleMania 2, you had the fridge was in the Battle
Yeah.
Royal in WrestleMania 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Him, Russ Francis.
Yeah.
I think Too Tall Jones was a referee for that.
Yeah. Like,
Um, yeah.
and then, Aretha
Cat,
Franklin sings the national anthem. You know,
Kathy Lee Crosby. Here's some of the ones at WrestleMania 2. I'm just seeing
mhm,
Robert Conrad. And I really had to think about who these were. But Robert Conrad, who was a celebrity in
mhm.
1986.
Yeah.
Kathy Lee Crosby. I remember her from That's Incredible.
Yep.
Susan St. James, and I mean at the time she was big. She was on was it Kate and Alley? I think was the name of that show.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Um, Elvira was at WrestleMania 2,
Hmm.
and like I said, for all you young people, Joan Rivers, Rick Schroeder. Actually, at the time we called him Ricky Schroeder. He didn't.
Ricky, yeah, he hadn't decided to ditch the.
Yeah, he didn't become part of the York Foundation. It only
Yeah.
actually it would have been Richard Schroeder.
Yeah.
I love that faction, by the way.
Oh, I did too, because it's like we're just going to say the full first name, and that instantly makes us better than you. That's how they did it. That's how it was. That's how it always appeared to be for me. Like Terry Taylor was all of a sudden Terrence Taylor, and then he was like, "Well,
And
Terrence,
Richard Morton,
Richard Morton,
and there was one more, Thomas Rich.
Thomas Rich, Mike Rotunda was in it for just a little bit because he was Michael Wall Street.
That's what he started doing. Okay.
Yep, that's when he
Um,
started doing the Michael Wall Street, like right at the tail end of the York Foundation thing.
and Ricky Morton, I think this was, one of the few times he was ever heel. But you're going, where was Robert? Ricky Morton, he actually made an arrangement. Robert Gibson was hurt,
Yeah,
or had a really bad injury,
yeah,
and Ricky Morton apparently he made sure Robert Gibson got paid.
yeah, yeah.
So that's
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 a
right.
stand-up guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's ride or die right there. Uh, let's see. So, athletes: Muhammad Ali,
Hmm.
Carl Banks, Jim Covert. He was one of the people in the battle royal. Daryl Dawkins. He was a judge for the boxing. What's that fake? Why would Daryl Dawkins be a judge for a box?
I have no idea.
And by the way, that boxing match should have been a lot better,
Yeah,
considering that both of those guys were actual professional.
yeah.
Anyway,
Well, the
uh,
problem is they hated each other
yeah,
for real.
yeah,
So
because what was it? They when they put Piper's gloves on him, they actually instead of taping it with his hands open. They
Yeah.
taped it with his fist closed, and so
Yeah.
it left a space so he couldn't hit
He
tees
couldn't
hard.
punch. Yeah. Yeah. They absolutely hated each other.
Lou Duva, he was the boxing trainer, which I thought he was involved in the Starcade. No, Joe Frazier was involved in a Starcade.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was the one that told Dusty Rhodes you're bleeding too much and cut
Yeah.
the $1 million match off.
Yeah.
Uh, Bill Fralick, he was also, man, there was a lot of football players. Russ Francis, which Russ Francis actually wrestled during the off season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he would wrestle like in Hawaii. Um, Rob Gronkowski, of course, we know about him because the longest 24/7 champion. It was an accident, but still.
He gets on my nerves. Just the very as soon as he starts talking, I'm like, no, no, no,
No,
can't do
no, no.
it. Yeah, can't do it.
Uh, Ernie Holmes, he was in the Battle Royal. Uh, Ricky Jackson, he was the manager of LT in the match against Bam Bam. Ed Too Tall Jones, Tommy Lasorda, Paul McGuire, Billy Martin, already said him, Harvey Martin, Floyd Mayweather, Steve McMichael,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mongo.
Mongo,
Yeah.
Ken Norton Jr., Shaq.
Yeah,
You
Shaq's
name,
been actually one of the few wrestlers that can say that he's been involved with WCW, WWE, and AEW.
yeah, very true.
Mhm.
Didn't even think about that. I accidentally just clicked off of it, and it'd be kind of hard trying to get back to it.
Yeah.
But it listed the fridge. He went in the Hall of Fame in 2006.
Yep. Yep.
Didn't realize that. So now I'm like, okay, first of all, I like the fridge as a player.
Yeah.
85 Bears, arguably one of the greatest teams of all time.
Absolutely.
Walter Payton should have scored that touchdown in the Super Bowl, though.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You left Sweetness.
Yeah, you just left sweetness hanging is what you did. Yeah.
Yeah. He deserved that touchdown more than the fridge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, but
Anyway,
you just look at all the celebrities that have come through, not just WWE. WCW had their fair share,
yep.
especially when Nitro was on their hot streak. Um, TNA had celebrities. I mean, Pac-Man Jones was half of the World Tag Team Champions for a little while in TNA. Couldn't do anything because he was playing for the Titans at the time, and the Titans were like, you cannot get physical at all. So
Ah,
he was a tag team with Ron the Truth Killings. Ron the Truth Killings did all the work. Pac-Man would just tag in and pin somebody. That's as physical as he was allowed to get. And they were the world tag team champions. But he could not wrestle a match.
and where's Pac-Man Jones now?
Um, I don't know. Probably sitting at home, possibly counting his money. Maybe if he ain't
Maybe.
spent it all. If he
I've
ain't
had,
spent it all on lawyer fees because he couldn't stay out of trouble.
yeah, because I've actually talked to some people who actually met him when he played
Mm-hmm.
for the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a whole lot of good to say about him.
Nobody really does. It's just his attitude problem. That's a lot of what got him in trouble in the NFL was his attitude.
Yep.
But
And but where's Ron the Truth Killings now though?
yeah, he is.
Our
Yep.
Truth.
Yep. He is a national treasure.
He really is. And
Yeah,
not that I want him to retire, but I want him to retire so he'll go in the Hall of Fame first ballot.
exactly. And the man doesn't age. He looks exactly the same in 2023 that he looked in 2002 when he was NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
And wrestles like
Yeah.
he's that young
And
too, and gets
yes,
away with it.
he's actually I think he's a year or two older than us.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
means he's in his early 50s,
Uh-huh.
which
Yep.
makes us sound, wow, oh my God, really? We're about to be in our early 50s.
Yep, it's coming.
Yeah. Of course, I mean, I'd rather have that than the alternative.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, our truth. I'd like to meet that man. You know what? I'd have him sign that belt too. Did he hold this belt?
Yes.
Good. I'm. You know
Yep.
what?
That's when TNA had the working relationship with the NWA and were allowed to use their titles. That's why America's Most Wanted held the World Tag Team titles that Tully and Arn used to wear. So,
So that means I need to get the tag
except the
belt.
straps were black in TNA. You know, Tully and Arn had that cool blue straps.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah,
because Tully and Arn were just cool.
oh yeah, that is my absolute favorite tag team of all time. It's Tully Blanchard, and Arn Anderson.
I always thought it was the Midnight Express.
Yeah, yours?
No, yours. I always thought
Uh,
yours was Midnight.
no, actually, Terrence was a big fan of the Midnight Express when we were kids.
Okay.
Road Warriors is always his first, but he did like the Midnight Express. But I was always a fan of Tully and Arn because you didn't really have music. They weren't flashy, anything, but they out wrestled everybody that they got in the ring with and made everybody look like $1,000,000
Hmm. And when I saw
and made it look easy.
and when I saw Tully do drop kicks, I was like,
Yeah,
"Since when do bad guys don't do drop kicks?"
yeah. Tully would come in, do the technical stuff, irritate them to no end. And as soon as they were coming for Tully, he'd tag in Arn, and then that's it.
Get it? But we were talking about when wrestling in the mainstream. I guess when they kind of cross,
Mm-hmm.
and of course we know Hogan started making movies.
Yeah.
They weren't good movies.
No, Hogan has never made a good movie.
Uh,
Ever,
Suburban
ever, ever.
Suburban Commando was okay,
Can't
but I mean,
do
yeah,
it.
it wasn't great.
The Undertaker was in that one
But
too.
Undertaker was in it. Yep. And because I was going, oh, it's Undertaker. Wait a minute, aren't they fighting in the ring?
Yeah. Yeah.
And who was the other guy? The other guy was just some random big dude, I thought.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Another crossover thing, which nobody knew that he was going to become like a pop culture icon then, was Tiny Lister, who played Zeus in No
And he
Holds
he
Barred.
crossed the other way.
Yeah, he crossed the
Yeah,
other way into wrestling and became this pop culture icon, you know.
it was the
And
eye.
he's sadly he passed away a couple years ago
He
due to
did.
COVID, But yeah, I mean, you had stuff like that. He even worked as a terrible name. It was called the Z Gangsta in WCW. They brought him in to rekindle that feud with Hogan when they were doing the whole alliance to
Oh, in
destroy,
Hulkamania.
yeah, the end Hulkamania, and it was like Flair and Anderson and the Dungeon of Doom and the Z Gangsta and all this versus Hogan and Savage, and Hogan and Savage won a triple tier cage match.
I remember that stupid match.
You got two guys versus 10, and you're going to tell me that the two guys are going to win? No, no, no,
And
no.
and at the very end, Luger accidentally hit
Mm-hmm.
like the wrong guy. But if you look, he stopped and then grabbed the guy and hit him. And it was
Yeah, and
like,
they hit him. Yeah,
that didn't really come
it's
across.
like, yeah, that was booked horribly.
Yeah.
Um, but again, you have Tiny Lister that crossed, the other way into wrestling. Um, but yeah, Hogan's been in a lot of movies. He even had that TV show when he was at the peak of NWO, his NWO stardom, his Thunder in Paradise.
Never watched it.
It was trash. I saw clips, and it
Okay.
was it was just terrible. But you got to have some of the terrible ones to get to the good ones. I mean, like right now, Dwayne the Rock Johnson is the biggest star in the world.
Yeah. Not wrestling
Not
act.
wrestling,
No, he is the
the biggest star.
yeah.
He is. I mean, he walks in a room and everybody stops
That's
because
because
The
of the
Rock's
smile.
there. Yeah,
He's got a
yeah.
great smile. I mean,
Because
I'm not gay. I'm not gay, but that dude's a stud.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's just like, and it wasn't like he used wrestling to jump to Hollywood. He was born into wrestling. He's
Hmm.
born in, his family's been involved with wrestling since the High Chief Peter Maivia. But Hollywood knew what everybody else knew. Once he got rid of the Rocky Maivia thing and became The Rock, he screamed star, just
Yeah.
written all over him.
It was
And
it was
before
his
too long,
appearance. It was his
yeah,
appearance on Saturday Night Live that
yeah,
did it.
yeah,
That's
that's
when
what
somebody
started.
said,
Hollywood's like, I think this guy's going to be a star. Yes, he did. So he did his obligatory Disney stuff, and it was a lot of cheesy, family-friendly movies. And then once he got that done, he started making movies, and I mean, he is the definition of box office.
because the Saturday Night Live thing got him the stint on The Mummy Returns, and then The Mummy
Mm-hmm.
Returns got him to be the
The
Scorpion
Scorpion
King.
King, yeah, I enjoyed the Scorpion King. I
Yeah.
thought it was a good movie.
because we're like, just keep giving him more and more. Let's see what happens.
Uh-huh.
And you saw what happened.
Yeah.
And now dude's like, I don't need wrestling anymore.
No. And the thing is, he still loves wrestling. He just knows that it's a part of his, it's part of his life that's in the rear view, you
And
know?
also think about this: The Rock is also in his early 50s,
Yes.
but he's
Yeah.
kind of like our truth. He doesn't look like he's in his early 50s.
No, he looks, I mean, and sadly, he was in great shape during the Attitude Era, but this version of The Rock makes that version look like a child.
Yeah, I mean, he
I mean, the man's ridiculous. He is a freak of nature. It's just, you know, no
and
one should look like that. You
it's
just
actually
shouldn't.
gotten, it's actually gotten to the point now. You're right, he shouldn't. It's actually gotten to the point now though, where some of the people don't even realize if you say The Rock and they're like, who?
Yeah, because and that's a testament to his talent that he was able to transcend and become Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah,
He made Dwayne Johnson a box office attraction. And who would have thought that Dwayne Johnson would end up being a bigger star than The Rock? You know what I'm saying?
right.
It's just funny how that happened. I mean, and he is the biggest success story as far as acting in wrestling, in my opinion. Dave Batista is doing well for himself, though. Dave
Yeah,
Batista has been excellent.
Dave Batista
Um,
has a character which is now associated with him forever.
yeah, Drax the Destroyer. Yep.
Yep.
He was also excellent in Spectre. I was not a big fan of Spectre. I'm a James Bond fan, and that was one of the weaker entries, I thought. But Dave Batista was excellent in his role. Um, Trying to think who else. Steve Austin
He's
did a
done a few
lot.
things,
He's done a few things, but he didn't. For as big of a star as he was in wrestling, it didn't transcend well to Hollywood. Now, WWE had their own film company for a little while, and he did do The Condemned, which I did enjoy that movie.
Was it good? Okay,
Yes,
I never watched it, so
I
I
like The
mean,
Condemned,
yeah,
but
the trailers look good.
other than that, most of his stuff was pretty much like direct to video type stuff. Um, John Cena is becoming a big player in Hollywood. I mean, now he's like The Rock. He has a character. No, like Batista, he has a character that will always be associated with him. Peacemaker.
Yeah,
He was in the second Suicide Squad movie, and John Cena had done movies before that. He did, 12 Rounds, which was a WWE thing. Then, he branched out into Hollywood. He's now in the Fast and Furious franchise. He is in, he's got Peacemaker. Even was so well received in the Suicide Squad movie that he got his own show on HBO Max, which was also extremely well received. And it's just that's how it's like it just organically happens. It's not manufactured. It's just if the person has the talent to go from one version of entertainment to another, that's how it's done. That's how you get mainstream attention because people know who John Cena is and they know he was in WWE. Even younger
hmm
people right now, if they see John Cena in the movie, they're like, I used to watch it. I've watched him wrestle in WWE.
yeah.
So the connection is still there and you still get that mainstream because even if they're not big wrestling fans, they may be like, "Oh, well, he was good in this movie. Let me go see some of his matches and see what that was all about." But all of this, just grasping at straws, just throwing celebrities out there, like the 2001 Royal Rumble when they put Drew Carey in it, and he took up a spot that somebody else could have had,
And
and
took a
then
spot in the Hall of Fame.
yeah, because from that little bit got him a spot in the Hall of Fame, and it's like, what? Because he eliminated himself because he was scared of Kane.
Uh, yeah, I'll never get that one because what did that actually honestly contribute to professional wrestling and the WWE as a whole to make it, kind of help elevate it?
No, it nothing. It did nothing. I mean, wrestling was no better, with him involved.
It just made me mad.
Yeah, that's all it did for me.
Just
It just made me mad. And he was only there for a cup of coffee. I mean, he didn't make any more appearances for WWE. He was only there to promote his like stand-up comedy thing he was doing, and that's it.
But I'll tell you somebody who did actually bring it. It was for positive attention, but it really could have turned out different. Thankfully, it didn't. Was Tyson,
Yes, yes.
WrestleMania 14?
Yeah, everybody was very there, after everything he had been through and he'd been to prison and all that stuff. Everybody was kind of tentative about what, he was going to do, but I mean, he was all in it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you could tell he was a big fan, and they put him in DX and they did the swerve at 14, and he counted the three for Austin, knocks out Shawn Michaels, and
And then put the
but
shirt over his face, which Shawn
yeah,
Michaels apparently did not
was
like.
not yeah, he was not happy about that.
What,
But
what are you going to do? Tell Mike Tyson?
exactly, what are you gonna
Yeah,
do? You gonna
that's Mike
buck up to
Tyson.
Tyson and get knocked out for real?
Yeah,
I mean, the man's hands are literally registered as lethal weapons. No, no.
yeah. It's like, haven't you played Mike Tyson's Punch Out?
Exactly. Just lay there with the shirt on your face and just be
Yeah,
quiet.
as soon as you see that flicker,
Yeah.
you better move because
Yeah.
he's going to hit that uppercut and you're done.
Exactly. Because here's the thing, Sean was leaving anyway. So
Yeah,
what difference did it make that Tyson put it? I mean, really, if you look at it, it was the pass. Sean passed the torch to Austin.
yep,
Tyson just laying the shirt on him was just like, well, this is the end of this era and begins this era. Sean's leaving anyway. So what difference does it make? It's just, but Sean was just in a bad place, like
yeah. He knew.
mentally, physically. He was burnt out. Had drug problem,
He had
stuff like that.
the crushed vertebrae. That's which is the
Yeah,
reason why he had to leave.
yeah,
He had Undertaker wanting to beat him up in the back if if he didn't do the job.
yep, yep.
And
Uh, but even musicians, Motorhead has played Triple H to the ring twice at WrestleMania.
yep,
It's like, and you look at Rev Theory has played Randy Orton to the ring. Bray Wyatt has had a live performance to the
I
ring.
can't. Yeah, I can't think of the name of that
I
band
can't either
because
right now. Living Color played CM Punk to the ring.
yes,
I mean, this is this is good mainstream attention, not Snooki or not what is it, Maria something. She was on like ETV or something, and she ended up wrestling at WrestleMania, and it's like just stop. It's like there are other ways celebrities can contribute to, you know, give you that mainstream pop without taking a paycheck from somebody. Because that's literally what they're
yeah,
doing by giving these celebrities spots is taking a paycheck from a wrestler who has worked all year to get a spot.
because they're having to pay them half a million, $1 million
Oh yeah.
just for the appearance.
Yeah.
And even like who's this dude Hardy? The one he was
Yeah.
at one of the
Uh,
latest pay-per-views, and I was like,
yeah.
who?
Yeah.
Well, they,
I'd never heard of him. And after hearing him play, I have no desire to hear of him again.
somebody actually described him as when you order Kid Rock off Wish.com.
There it is. There it is.
I was like,
That's it.
yeah,
There it is.
if y'all want to bring somebody in there because that new kind of the hip hop country style,
Yeah.
get Jelly Roll.
Thank you.
Jelly Roll's
Thank you.
phenomenal.
Yeah. Jelly Roll is fantastic. Yeah, get Jelly
Yeah.
Roll if that's the vibe you're going for.
Yeah, because Jelly Roll, I mean, you hear like his latest songs, the man can do it all. He still has a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of hip hop in there, but he's got straight up country with some of them,
Yeah.
very bluesy. And then that song Dead Man Walking, that was the first song I heard, and that's what really piqued my interest. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
so y'all need to get him next next time y'all
Yeah.
go to Nashville,
Yeah.
and y'all need to get Jelly Roll to come to your show
Yeah. Yep.
because he's real. I will tell you that he is very real.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, don't
But
get Hardy. Nobody knows who Hardy is. I
yeah.
mean,
And it's like I get trying to give up and coming people a chance, but at the same time, you've got to get somebody that people know. I mean,
mhm.
nobody knew because it was all over social media when they were like, "Who is Hardy?"
Yeah,
People heard Hardy and they're like, Is Jeff Hardy performing? What
I
what's
know.
what?
Oh, I mean, it's kind of like people asking this past weekend, who's Fairleigh Dickinson?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, because I actually did see somebody posted the most Googled term right now is who is Fairleigh Dickinson after they beat
Hmm.
Purdue. By the way, did you do a bracket at all?
I didn't because by the time I got ready to do one, it was already busted.
Uh, uh,
There was 20 million brackets this year, and there's not a single perfect bracket left.
yeah, after that, before that game, they said there was like 20.
Uh-huh.
After that game, there was none.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure after that game, unless you had the people who really picked random,
Yeah.
nobody was going to pick Fairleigh Dickinson to beat. It was a 16 seed against
Versus,
like a really good number one seed.
oh yeah. But Carolina played like garbage this year, just be honest.
Yeah, they did.
We didn't
You know,
deserve to get in the tournament,
nope.
but Duke got beat and Kentucky got beat.
And
So,
and Kansas got beat.
and Kansas got beat. So, I mean, I can't ask for much more. So,
Yeah,
for me
and
now, it doesn't really matter who wins the tournament because those teams will not.
those
So,
teams will not on a lesser blue blood scale. One that I have not liked since 1984 when they knocked North Carolina out of the tournament. Indiana, they
yeah,
got knocked out.
yep.
Um,
I've
and
got a
yeah,
friend from Indiana. She was not happy when they got beat. She was on Facebook, not happy at all.
uh, yeah, I watched that game. It was Michael Jordan's last game in college.
Hmm.
He fouled out. I cried. and then and then they showed Brad Daugherty. It was his last
Yeah,
game because he was a senior and he was
yep,
he had tears because he knew that and they were the number one ranked team going to the tournament.
yep.
But anyway, enough about 1984 basketball. Um, um, Another celebrity kind of a weird crossover moment was Big Van Vader appearing on Boy Meets World.
Yes, that was strange. That was
Yep.
that was really strange. Um,
But
you had
it didn't discredit wrestling, and that's
no, no, it
yeah.
didn't. Um, Triple H is, kind of put his toe in the pool. Biggest thing he's done was Blade 3, which Blade 3 was terrible. But
I Yeah, I remember seeing him on is either Baywatch or one of those other,
mhm,
beach booby TV shows.
yeah,
And but he was basically playing himself because he
yeah,
even did the crotch thing, and I'm like,
yeah,
what are you doing?
yeah.
Like go home.
But during that time, Attitude Era, those guys were bulletproof. They could do
Yeah.
just about anything, and people would flock to it. Same with WCW. I mean, you had Jay Leno tagging with DDP in the
Yes.
main event of a pay per view. I was totally against it because it's like, okay, Carl Malone is a stretch, but at least he was an athlete.
He's an athlete.
Dennis Rodman, stretch, but he fit the NWO. He
Yeah.
was perfect for the NWO, and he's a tremendous athlete. So I could let those two slide. But Jay Leno, come on. And
Yeah.
Jay Leno gets the pin in the match. He wins the match for his team. If
Well,
I
you
was
know what?
DDP, I'd have hit him with a diamond cutter after it was over.
Well, at least he didn't win the world title.
David Arquette, who did not want to win the world title.
Yeah, he did not.
When that idea was brought to him, he was like, no, because I do not want to tarnish the legacy of the people that have sacrificed to win this championship, because he was a huge fan of pro wrestling and he
Hmm.
had total respect for the business. But they slapped the title on him. Props to him. He gave every dime that he earned from that world title run to charity.
Hmm.
Um,
Because he heard, bro, I
yeah,
have an idea. Swerve, world title.
swerve, bro. Uh, and all of that was to promote Ready to Rumble, which was an awful movie. It was
It
just
really
terrible.
was.
It had a lot of WCW wrestlers in it, and it still wasn't any good. It was just god awful.
It's almost like, Mad Magazine, they actually did a movie one time called Up the Academy, and apparently it's like one of the worst movies of all time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why they never did another movie.
Uh huh.
Even though National Lampoon, did all the vacation movies plus a lot of other ones. Not National Lampoon. They've also had some stinkers in there too,
Right.
but they'll always, actually, I don't think people even remember that that's who made the vacation movies.
Yep.
But Ready to
Yep.
Rumble was bad. I
It
mean,
was
it
awful.
was,
It was terrible.
and to be perfectly honest with you, No Holds Barred was not exactly a great movie,
No Holds Barred was crap too. Zeus
but
was the only good part of that movie because Hogan was just being Hogan. He was just wearing black and blue instead of red and yellow.
yeah.
You know, but it was just Hogan.
And I
In a
saw that
movie.
movie. I saw the movie in the theater at the movie theater behind the Penny Rom Mall. Um, Still remember that because I had broken my collarbone,
hmm
and that was the day I actually had, like, they had a big brace, on it.
mm
But I
mm
had to. My stepdad took me up to Fort Campbell to have it taken off, and then
hmm
he drove the whole way back with his head out the window like that because of all the dead skin that I couldn't get.
Yeah.
He said I smelled like, something had died,
Oh, I bet.
and a
Yeah.
bad thunderstorm. He still had his head out
It's just I'm sure
all the
that
way
rain
from
in his face was better
oh
than
yeah,
that smell.
all the way from Fort Campbell back to my house.
Wow.
And so I could take a shower to get all the dead skin off of me. And then we went. I watched No Holds Barred. He watched whatever movie was big at that time. It was 1989 also,
Yeah.
which was a huge year for movies. But it was in summertime, so it was me and like three other kids in there watching No Holds Barred because they sat with me, and I actually was explaining some
Yeah.
wrestling things to them. And that was before I really understood, you
Wrestling.
know,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
I had a suspicion, but that was about it.
yeah. One other thing, because I know it's getting late. When Kiss was on Nitro, this is
Yep.
when Nitro was starting to go off the rails, and they were doing what WWE is doing now, grasping at straws and trying to get that mainstream stuff. And that episode of Nitro was so poorly received that Kiss just distanced themselves from,
Hmm.
they backed out of the deal that they
Yeah.
had. Um, because they were supposed to have this guy was supposed to be,
Del
the Kiss,
Torberg.
yeah, it's supposed to be the Kiss
Yep.
demon. And so once that episode went bad, you know, Kiss pulled out, and so the guy had to go ahead with the gimmick though. He was just called the demon, but it was like, what do you do with him now? He doesn't have that association with Kiss.
Because
So
they will sue you.
yeah, well, definitely they will sue you. Yeah. Um, it was just bad. And the reason that the episode went so bad is because the audience they were catering to, nobody knew who Kiss was in that audience.
Which
You
makes
know,
me wonder what's wrong with this audience not
yeah,
knowing who
I
Kiss
mean,
is.
yeah, I totally agree. But you've got all these younger fans in the
Right.
audience that had no idea who Kiss was.
Yeah, because, I
So
mean, Kiss by that point really had not been
no,
relevant,
they were on their 10th farewell tour at that time,
and they're on another one right
and they're on another one.
now.
I mean, they're going to keep touring until they die. That's just I've just come to that conclusion because it's like every time you turn around, it's like this is the last time we're ever going to tour, and then it's like this tour made tons of money, so oh well, we're going back on tour again.
Kind of like Motley Crue said they were done too.
They don't even make albums anymore; they just tour.
I mean, when you hit that point though, that's legend status when you
Yeah,
don't even have to make an album.
yeah, that is
But
true.
another band that was on Nitro was Megadeth.
Yes, because they did "Seek and Destroy," which ended up being Sting's theme for a while.
No, Seek and Destroy is Metallica. No, they did Crush 'em.
Crush 'em. That's right.
Crush
It was
'em.
Crush 'em. Yeah.
Which, I'll be honest with you, I like the song, which makes me in the minority.
hmm
The album is considered like their worst, and even the guys in Mega, Dave Mustaine, he's like, they absolutely hate that album because the new producer, and
hmm
he he had this wild thing. We'll make every song the same beats per minute for every song. And he said that's why it all sounds like disco, because even the song "Crush 'Em" sounds like "Turn Me Loose" by Loverboy. Because when I hear
Yeah,
it, now it
it
turn
really
me
does.
loose,
I did not think of
turn
that,
me
but it
loose.
does.
Yeah. And but there you go. That's the curse of WCW. It even
Yeah,
had Megadeth had a bad album.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
There
and
you go.
I know you're not really a big Megadeth fan, but I mean,
I only like a handful of songs. Like I like their cover of "No More Mr. Nice Guy." It was on the
yep.
Shocker soundtrack. Uh, there's a song here or there, but I was never a big Megadeth fan. I always preferred Metallica.
I mean, I like both. I mean, and honestly, which one I prefer over the other kind of depends on like what mood I'm in that day.
Hmm.
And sometimes I go, give me Slayer,
Yeah.
or give me Anthrax, give me Testament. Yeah, give me. I'm just naming like all the thrash bands. Give me Exodus, Overkill. I actually the other day in the car, I was jamming up some Nuclear Assault.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I haven't
there you
listened to them
go.
in forever.
Yeah,
That takes me back. Oh wow.
that's we're talking like there's some headbangers ball back in the day
Yes,
type things.
absolutely.
But and I'm sitting there trying to think of any other celebrity, mainstream, because
Yeah.
I mean, and that is one of the things. A lot of times, you get wrestling in the mainstream, and people still kind of crap on it,
Hmm.
and which makes me kind of upset. Just like the other day, somebody I didn't even mention this to you. Somebody at my church talking about Tiny Tim,
Mm.
because and they
Mhm. We
she
don't do
wasn't trying to
that.
say anything bad about him, but she
Oh,
said,
okay.
about him, because I mean,
Yeah.
everybody. She's like, yeah, can you believe that he does that phony wrestling? And I
Mm.
I wanted to come across where she was at and just say, look here, you know, phony, no. And the way
No.
she did that phony wrestling,
Oh my God. I was in this day and age, I don't know why people still have that view.
I don't either. I mean,
These are some of the greatest athletes in the world, and it's like you couldn't begin to comprehend what they put their body through day in and day out. So it's like just because it's predetermined does not mean it's fake.
exact, boom, perfect quote right there.
Yeah, just because the outcome is predetermined does not mean that what they do in the ring is fake.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're protecting each other,
Yeah, they protect each other, but
but
you try getting suplexed off the top rope onto a little thin mat with plywood under it and see if you can pop back up and do the next sequence like they can. Because I wouldn't be able to
I would
suplex
just,
me off the top rope. I've been like, pin me, I'm done.
yeah,
It's
are
a
you
wrap.
tapping? Yeah, I'm tapping. It's not a
Wrap it up.
submission move. I don't care. I
I
just,
don't care. It's over. Wrap it up. Let's go.
yeah, I mean, we're going to be done with that. So,
Hmm.
but hopefully, honestly, I don't think it'll ever happen because people always look down on it
Hmm.
because they'd rather, like I said, watch the Kardashians.
Yeah.
Yay! But even though I thought it was funny when Kim Kardashian, the picture of her wearing the Slayer shirt, and then next picture was Gary Holt from Slayer wearing the shirt that said "Kill the Kardashians."
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, because she didn't do it because she knew who it was. She was just trying to she thought, oh, it'll be trendy. And no, stop wearing shirts of bands if you don't know them.
Yep,
I mean,
and that's
I tell my own children that. So
you should not wear a band shirt unless you can name at least three of their songs.
Savannah has the Nirvana shirt. I'm like, there's going to be a pop quiz. I need 3 songs.
And "Smells Like Teen Spirit" can't be one of them.
Yeah, I agree. And I tried to give her a pass with that. She didn't even know that one. And it's like, oh,
All right, you
like
need me. You need me to come down there and have a talk with her
I failed her. I'm
because,
sorry.
and she's challenged me to a chess match. I don't know how we're
Yeah,
gonna make this
yeah.
happen, but
We got to figure out how to make that happen because, yeah,
oh, and before I forget, Kyle sent a good quote. He said, "I hope the Brock versus Almost match is shorter than Bundy versus SD Jones. Almost is
same.
awful.
Kyle, I
Yes,
totally agree because both of those matches are definitely restroom breaks. It's like there's no point in any of this other than Vince McMahon wanted to see two big guys go at it because you know how he likes his monster matches, and so it's like just
and when was the last time two great big guys like that had a really really good match?
you'd have to go honestly for me, you'd have to go all the way back to the Attitude Era, first couple matches with the Undertaker and Kane.
Yeah,
But other than that, two big guys together generally do not have a good match.
yeah.
You need the contrast in styles.
Kane and Big Show could have decent matches.
Yes,
Because
they had too many matches, but yeah,
yeah,
they could have decent matches together just because Big Show was so much bigger than Kane.
yeah, and Big
So
Show was
it's
very athletic.
yeah, so you still had the contrast of styles, but you can't put like Brock's not green, but Omos is still green as grass, and thankfully they're at least putting him in there with somebody experienced, not putting him in there with another green wrestler and been like, oh, Clash of the Titans. It's like, no, you're just going to embarrass those two people and nobody's going to care.
Oh, oh well. Maybe one day, when they'll figure out, hey, the wrestlers, a lot of these wrestlers are more of a celebrity than the celebrities that you're trying to bring in to give it
Mm-hmm. Yep.
mainstream attention. Which, if the mainstream attention that they're getting is it's more negative than positive, maybe just don't do it. Maybe you don't need it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because WrestleMania Dallas, the one like what's it, 32?
Mm-hmm.
They talk about um well, when the Undertaker signed Shane McMahon, all of a sudden the ticket sales went through the roof.
Yeah.
You know what it wasn't? It wasn't whatever celebrity they said was going to be involved.
Nope. It was people saw Undertaker was going to be in a Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania, and they're like, I'm there.
I'm there. It wasn't going to be, oh, I want to go see Motorhead play a song. I'm
Yeah.
not paying $100, $200 to watch.
No, if I'm going to go, I'm going to go to a Motorhead concert so they can play all the songs I like.
Yeah, yeah. Just like when I watched an NFL game down in London,
Mm-hmm.
The Goo Goo Dolls were there.
Yeah.
They played two songs,
Yeah.
and one of them, of course, was Iris.
Of course, because you have to. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
classic.
but that was it. But I mean, they just said, hey, pay $50 to go watch the Goo Goo Dolls. All right, they're only gonna play two songs. No,
Yeah. Nah. Nah.
oh,
Yeah.
but
Guess
all
we
right,
better
dude.
wrap it up. I know it's
Yeah,
getting late for you.
yeah, it's getting late, 10 o'clock. Forecast time is kicking in,
Yeah.
and we will say the next few weeks, probably at least a month, I would say our schedule is going to change just a little bit.
Yep.
Uh,
My wife and I are coaching our daughter in T-ball. It's her first year doing T-ball. So with practice and games, we have to adjust our podcast schedule, but you'll see and hear from us at least once a week. So we're going
yep.
to do our best to, make sure we do it at least one show a week. That way you guys keep hearing from us.
So next week, look for us. Yeah, it is next week. It starts, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Starts yeah. I won't be able to record Monday. We got practice that day. Thursday should be good though. I'll have to look at the schedule and be sure because I don't think the first game is until early April. So
Okay. So just look for us. We're at
yeah,
all the platforms on YouTube. Obviously, if you're watching, you already know that.
yeah, yeah.
And by the way, speaking of YouTube, if anybody's coming across and for some reason not seeing the comments because my settings have gotten weird on the app on my phone,
Hmm.
I can't. It has something to do with like not disabling all comments, just
Hmm.
certain ones. Even though it was an automatic setting, I'm like I'm trying to change it and it won't let me.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really odd. Uh, but I could see it on the computer though.
Yeah.
So
That's
I'm like,
weird.
okay. So, but all right. So until then, my friends, hopefully, NCAA basketball.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting tournament.
Yeah, it has.
Hopefully Gonzaga wins it because that's who I picked.
Gotcha.
I've already won one of my polls. Actually, the first round wasn't even technically over yet, and I'd already won the entire thing because everybody else picked Purdue to win it all.
Hmm.
So but until we meet again, my friend, good night
All right.
and God bless.
God bless.